you go. Let's make our magic. All right. Welcome back to the Dean Obeidallah Show. We're live here Friday, May 10th. It's time for What Just Happened. As we look back at the insanity, and there was a lot this week, to break it down, we have Leighann Lord is back, award-winning stand-up comic, author. You've seen her on Def Jam, Showtime, Dry Bar, and of course, SiriusXM. Many of the shows, this show, John Fugelsang Show, and more. Leighann, great to see you.
Always great to be seen. Thanks for having me, team.
Also back. Awesome. Also back, it is Titus, known as Christopher Titus, but we call him Titus. He has at least 9 comedy specials. I can't keep up. It might be 12.
I just filmed my 10th.
And they've been on Comedy Central. He's been on numerous TV shows. Congratulations on your 10th special. What's it called?
Carrion Monsters. Basically, it's the great and very flammable Richard Pryor once said, everybody carries their own monsters. And he said it in an interview. So it's all my monsters throughout my life. And we all carry monsters.
We do.
You know what I love?
Go ahead.
That if anybody did that special, everybody would have their own demons. It would, and it should be different, as in, how comedy is.
Everybody could do their own version of carrying monsters.
Yes.
The cool thing is that our monsters were given to us by people that said they loved us. Thanks, Mom and Dad, and every girl I ever dated. My therapist just bought a helicopter.
But look, here's the thing. For all the comics we know just about talk about their demons or their monsters, whatever drives them. People in the offices, they just go, they don't talk about this. They don't share that weird stuff. We get to have a chance to talk about it on stage and work out issues. I think it's actually quite healthy on some unhealthy way. In some bizarre world of unhealthiness, there's a healthy component to going on stage. I honestly think so. I mean, I wonder, people are lawyers. They sit there, they're like grumbling. Nobody wants to hear their problems. In our case, people pay a cover charge and 2-drink minimum to hear our problems. Is that kind of unique?
Well, they're not just hearing our problems. They're hearing theirs. That's why they're coming. Because you'll hear something and you go, yes, that's me too. I hate my mom.
You're right.
Yeah,
So
we're the conduit to help them feel better while we, after the show, go drink and do drugs. But yes, we do help them.
You call it a cover charge. I call it a copay.
I like it.
Amen.
I think, and we might have our third comedian joining. She was there for a second. She disappeared again. I'm hoping she returns. At some point, Amanda Gail will be there. I'm not sure. She's not there. That's a really interesting way to look at it, that we're not sharing our problems just in a vacuum, like it's all about me. People relate to it. But there are some comics who have problems that no one really can relate to. It's just unique and funny.
It's true. That's true.
All right. Here, look, join
my mom shot and killed her 3rd husband. So not everybody. Yeah. She was a manic depressive schizophrenic, 185 IQ, spoke 4 languages, played concert piano, and shot and killed her 3rd husband. She was a Renaissance woman. There it goes.
That is unique. Like, not many people in the audience are going to relate to that, but I'm sure
only a woman could multitask that way. You could still fit in murder. That's fantastic.
That is kind of remarkable. Joining us here, someone who I don't think has committed any crimes that we know of, Amanda Gail, comedian touring all over. She's been on many SiriusXM shows. She's written for Reductress. How are you, Amanda?
I'm great. How are you, Dean?
Good to see you. And Titus and Leighann Lord, who I think you know, but maybe you don't know. Everyone knows. Here's Amanda Gail. We were talking. Okay, let's talk about the issues of the week. Now that we had our little fun about our own personal demons, which we all have. Stormy Daniels is Trump's come to life demon. And look, there are a few things I just want to highlight for you guys that from the testimony, and then have you react here. One of the things was there was a lot of cringeworthy moments. One of the ones that stood out is that when Donald Trump was trying to seduce Stormy Daniels, he said to her, quote, "You remind me of my daughter because she's smart and blonde and beautiful, and people underestimate her as well." So Titus, I want to go to you for this for a second. You know, this is his closing line. He must use this all the time. It must have worked. Look, as guys, there are lines that have worked for us. Like, "Hey, can I come in and use your bathroom?" Right? And then you're in. He's like, right. So that's
is that your game, Dean?
That was a guy, like, "Can I use your bathroom before I go?" And how can anyone say no? But anyway, like this, I don't think he invented this for Stormy. That's my bottom line. I think "you look like my daughter, let's have sex" was part of the playbook, part of his player's guide. It's so, I can't, it's it's cringy. It makes me sick. It nauseates me. But he said it. It worked with Stormy, or maybe it doesn't matter. Women ignore it. So, Titus, do you have any kind of closing line like that?
If you think that's a line, Dean, we need to have a meeting and work on your game. Like, how do you say that to any woman and she doesn't just vomit on you? I remind you of your daughter. Look, man, here's where we are in America. We got a porn actress testified that an ex-president had a mushroom penis, basically said he told her she was white trash, and she reminded him of her daughter, and then she screwed him while his wife was at home with the newborn, and he's still up in the polls. And I just keep thinking, who says American exceptionalism isn't dead? My God. And by the way, did you read the whole testimony? He surprised a porn star. This is a woman, her job is where she performs every sexual position imaginable and with people she just met. And yet Trump and his boxers gave her an aneurysm where the blood drained from her body. This is a woman who's been attacked with a 12-inch rubber devices, and Trump scared her. Man, that's where we are.
Right. In that testimony, she said, I felt the blood leave my hands and my feet, almost like when you stand up too fast. Everything kind of spinned. And what was she looking at? Trump in boxer shorts and a t-shirt. So that's kind of remarkable. Amanda, if someone said, you look like my daughter, would that be, maybe I'm missing it. Maybe it is complimentary on some level. At the time, Stormy was 27. Donald Trump was about 60, she said. And is that am I missing something? Amanda, what do you think?
Well, no, you're not. That's absolutely not a line that would get a woman to be romantically involved with you. But, I just think that, he's trying to relate to his base, right? So he is trying to promote, his base probably marries members of the family as well. So I think it was.
Oh, so that's what it is. It's like, that's why he got 70% of the West Virginia vote, which he got 70%. That's like Saddam Hussein numbers. That's what he won in 2020. They look at Trump,
they say, he's just like me.
Right. He finds his daughter
I also
attractive.
want to do my daughter. There you go.
Exactly.
Wow. That is brilliant and frightening.
Leighann, has anyone ever said you look like a niece or anyone in their family when they were like, you could tell they were romantically interested in you and they thought that would be helpful in the situation?
I'm going to go no.
You're going to go for no for 200.
My
no
answer
for 200.
is no. Yes, no for 200. I think that's a weeding out question. If do you know what I mean? If you say to a woman, oh, you look like my daughter, and she goes, ew, that's not the woman for you. You want the one that says nothing. That means, okay, this chick is down for whatever. So that is definitely a weeding out, question. Where does this person stand on my freak scale?
And I will say that when you read the transcript of it and even just saw the news reports, it wasn't like she thought Trump was trying to seduce her. She was like, I misread the signs. She thought you were just having a conversation in the penthouse of the guy's apartment. Okay, look at Leighann as having physical reactions.
That part freaked me out. She goes, what did I misread here? Dinner in the hotel room, sis. Like, that's pretty clear.
Nothing like a naive person.
Right. That's not ambiguous. That's pretty straightforward what he has on his mind. Now, you could have suggested y'all eat at a restaurant 2 blocks away, then you have a getaway.
So when you're in the room, it's a little harder.
Dean, do we believe the naive porn star? I'm not quite sure I buy that.
Do you think she said, look, the testimony was, for what it's worth, that she didn't want to have dinner with him. Then his bodyguard reached out and her publicist said, what do you got to lose? Which is actually a punchline now. And she actually was funny about it from what I read in the trial. She said, you see, and then, so she goes to help her career because Donald Trump is doing The Apprentice. And I can see there's that point, like, he's a powerful guy. Okay, I don't want to have dinner, but I'll have dinner with him. And we'll meet at the penthouse. And she had said that they were going to have dinner downstairs in one of the other Trump bedrooms, apparently, in the other Trump restaurants downstairs. So, Amanda, I mean, could you see like there is objectively, she could have been surprised here. It wasn't like she goes to the penthouse and the bodyguard brings her in.
Yeah.
So is there some kind of, are we being unfair to her to say like, why are you being naive? Why do you think this has to be sex?
Like, I hate to victim blame, I don't like to victim blame or, whatever, but I don't know. It's either you want to or you don't. If you're doing it to get ahead in the business, hey, babe, I'm not judging. Do you, but don't act like,
So you're not buying it.
No, I'm sorry.
You're not buying the naive part. Like,
if she says outright, no, I'm not, I don't want to do this. And he proceeds. Yes, he shouldn't be doing this, but she also should take accountability for being there. I mean, I don't want to victim blame anybody if they, but
Yeah. Yeah. Cause no can happen at any time, even after the door is closed.
That's right.
But I think after the bodyguard, smacked her on the butt and said, go get him, champ. She should have known.
This is a casting call for The Apprentice. This is what about the fact that we learned that she didn't wear he asked her about STDs and she goes, all my tests are fine. And he goes, look, he's married. His wife just gave birth to Barron 4 months before. She's at home with a newborn baby. He's literally having unprotected sex with a porn star. Like, and I'm not disparaging sex workers or porn stars. I'm just saying that's the facts. That's the scenario of it. And the Fox News, like, they were just trying to hurt his reputation. No, Trump did this. No one trying to hurt his reputation. So, Titus, what do you come on the whole idea about the condom thing? Like, was it unneeded salacious information, or does it make the story more believable to a jury? Because this is about a jury believing she had an affair.
Oh, we're so far beyond salacious in this country. It's so unclear. You know, I just hope his next 3 trials have a little more class. Listen, this is a man who claims he ended abortion and he's having unprotected sex. It doesn't, none of it, just make it make sense somewhere, you know, and it just make it make sense. None of it makes sense.
So, Amanda, if Donald Trump is convicted in this case and becomes a convicted felon, do you think it'll be meaningful politically? Not for his hardcore base. We know that. Right. But people in the middle who are like, I don't really like Biden that much. I don't like Trump that much, but I don't think I can vote for a convicted felon.
Yeah, I think it will affect him. I mean, listen, I know people that voted for Trump in 2020. I'm sorry, it wasn't 2020, 2016. I apologize. Mm-hmm. Kind of, let's see what happens. They were the middle ground voters. These weren't like extreme Trumpers. Sure. And then after what they saw, how he handled COVID, I know one woman that voted for Trump in 2016 didn't like the way he debated with Biden, how he brought up his son. So she also doesn't like Trump. So I think the people in the middle might still go for Biden because of this. So
interesting. Leighann, do you think it has an impact on some people in the middle who they keep saying the double haters, they call them on cable news because they're too lazy to actually break down voters? But in any event, that's what they call them.
In a weird way, it humanizes him because
Trump?
because I'm imagining Stormy going to the bathroom and him going, okay, and he's stripping out of his clothes and he's checking his hair and he's laying down on the bed and he goes, wait, let me check my hair again. He checks his hair and then she comes out of the bathroom and he's like, hey, like he's doing a sitcom. Am I okay? Do I look right? Is this it? Hi. Like trying to play cool, like he's been laying on the bed the whole time. Who hasn't been there?
This is very. That's funny. Like his sign that she wanted to have sex with, she goes, excuse me, can I go to the bathroom? He goes, oh, it's on. Like that in his mind, that was the closing deal. Like, don't go to the bathroom. If you're with Donald Trump in a room anywhere, don't go to the bathroom because you're going to come out.
This is what a narcissist he is. That's what a narcissist he is. He just reads everything as, oh, she's into me, even though not all the signs are there that she's into you. That's how a narcissist thinks, you know?
That's like, I went like on a first date with someone, the woman's like, I have to go to the ladies' room. I'm like, okay. And then she comes back to the booth. I'm on my boxer shorts. I'm like, I thought that's a sign. It's clearly that's the time for closing the deal sign. No, it's not. So it all goes back to my line about, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry, Dean. I'm just thinking that it's the historical callback. It answers the question that we've been asking presidential candidates since Clinton, boxers or briefs. And
he's a boxers guy. He's just, all right. So I'm chatting with Amanda Gail, Leighann Lord, and Titus here. So something else happened odd on Thursday. Donald Trump brought a senator to work day. He brought Rick Scott, the senator from Florida, who represents the people of Florida, but came to New York to sit in a courtroom all day, not deal with like world issues, like there's a world on fire, Ukraine and Middle East, all that. Nope. He went to watch Donald Trump the entire day in court. And I think actually Rick Scott was Donald Trump's emotional support animal. That's why he brought him there. Like he was wearing a vest that says service 100%. Senator. He's like, let me pet him because that's all it could be. Because this, and just so everyone knows, Rick Scott's company, when he ran it, this company, Columbia HCA Healthcare, was involved in Medicare fraud and pled guilty to 14 felonies. Now, Rick Scott said, I didn't know what was going on at my own company. So he brings a guy who should have been charged with crimes to a trial when there's actual crimes going on. Amanda, does this make any sense? Like, how does this help Trump to have Rick Scott? It's not even like, and the fact Melania won't go there. No one named Trump will go there, but you got Rick Scott there.
I mean, it kind of does make sense that, his, I don't know, maybe like felons, how felons just hang out with felons. That's just what, felons do. You hang out with people that are like you. It doesn't make sense, I guess, on paper, but I guess I get why they're friends. I mean, they both just don't think that they're above the law and they both don't so I guess from a friend perspective, but just bringing him, I don't
Who's
know.
he gonna
I don't
bring?
know.
Like, who's the next one? Marjorie Taylor Greene, Ted
Right,
Cruz.
yeah.
Everyone who wants to be his vice president. Kristi Noem comes with the dog, and
Mhm.
so
He doesn't have a
Amanda,
dog anymore, Dean. The dog's gone, Dean.
Yeah.
the puppy and a goat. No one cared about the goat, which upset me.
Never.
I kept telling people, and she shot her goat the same day. She wasn't done. She brought the goat to the gravel pit and shot it. I was on cable news and we were talking about it. I go, and in the book, I'm not kidding. The excerpt says, and construction workers were looking at her after she killed the second animal, and she looked back at them and they looked away like it was Tony Soprano. Like, oh, he just whacked a goat and a dog. Like, what are you gonna? You don't know me. Don't you know? So, what does it say though, Titus, that he brings Rick Scott, but his wife has not come to the trial? No one in the family showed up.
Look, when your own family won't show up at your porn star sex election fraud trial, I think you have to look how you acted last Thanksgiving, pretty much. I mean, look, I get it. He had to bring in another criminal con man. Rick Scott totally makes sense. I mean, isn't it really telling that like the best Trump could pull from his family was Eric, who is the Chet Hanks of the Trump clan? I mean, look, Ivanka can't show up because Trump's going to grope her, and Don Jr. is going to be snorting blow off of Kimberly Guilfoyle's implants. So I think Rick Scott was pretty much the baller grifter move, really.
Yeah.
He looks like a skeleton model. I mean, I just have to be honest. He doesn't look well at all. I'm like, what happened? He used to work in healthcare, and obviously, so Leighann, do you think before this is over, Melania shows up the last day or something to show her support for her husband?
I don't know. I kind of like that she's not there. You know, it kind of says to me that this wasn't in the vows or the prenup, and she's not, not contractually obligated to show up for this. I do think they're missing an opportunity. If this is the presidential +1, they could be fundraising and selling that ticket. Who, like you said, who's going to show up next? Who gets to sit in that seat for $100,000 donation?
Right.
Not that I should be putting ideas out there, but since they monetize everything, that would be it. But I think the real story here is that this is really the land of opportunity. You can be accused of fraud and still become a sitting senator
and governor. I like the idea of selling the seat because I expect Trump to cash in on the fact that he fell asleep in trial so much with some new Trump quill going. It's so effective. You can sleep through your own trial. Get Trump quill, golden sneakers extra. He everything's for sale. We know it. Bibles, whatever. Yep. His fossil fuel policy. We know that now from reporting yesterday. It's not even on the list of issues. We won't even get into it. So I'm chatting with Amanda Gail, Leighann Lord, and Titus. So let's shift gears, sort of. RFK Jr., who's running for president. It came out from a 2012 deposition, and I'll read exactly what he said so no one thinks I'm making it up. He said, quote, "A worm that got into my brain and ate a portion of it and then died." So a crawled into his brain and ate a portion of it and then died. And this was in a deposition in a case, it has nothing to do with court. I don't know. Someone actually did some journalism, which is kind of nice, and actually went back and found this. I don't even know what to make of it. Titus, what's going on here? He said a worm ate his brain. And is that something someone who had their brain eaten by worms would say? I mean, is this what we're getting at? Like,
first of all,
with a brain eating worm?
It's not the only parasite in the 2024 race anyway, but at least, and the brain worm didn't take top secret documents or commit election fraud. So look, was this, I don't even understand the campaign meeting about this. Like, let's get that out there. Let's get that out there. I think we are so far, again, make it make sense. We're so far down the road of crazy that brain worm didn't even really surprise me. I was like, yeah, of course, one of the guys had a brain worm. Remember the old days when a candidate had to leave the presidential race because he looked goofy riding on a tank? Now we got brain worms, porn stars, and people shooting their dogs in the face. I think it's time to hit the nuke button at this point and start over. Anybody else?
It's over. Leighann, have you ever had any kind of insect crawl into your ear and you're like, that's going to eat my brain?
Ooh, I'm going to stop you there because I am terribly bug phobic.
Okay, so we won't get into it.
Yeah, that's not a thing. I thought maybe it was a typo when they meant earworm. That could have, maybe salvaged it. Right. But I'm still stuck on the fact that our youthful candidate is in his early 70s. Right. Our youthful candidate, everybody, like Gen X don't even exist.
The candidate.
We're not here.
Look, I don't like insects. I'm not insect phobic. The other day, though, the there was like, I saw a big shadow go across. I'm like, what the hell was that? And I took off my glasses and the ant was walking across my glasses and it looked like a monster, like a little ant. But I swear to God, I'm like, what is that shadow? I'm like, what is going on? So I'm like, I don't know why I took my glasses off. I could see less clearly with them off, but I'm like, I got like a scene in a movie. I got to like, oh my God, there's an ant there. Because I had a teeny ant infestation. I'm not going to get into it because this is New York. And someone downstairs had an ant and the ant came up to my floor and then the ant brings their cousins and their family. Next thing you know, it's unbelievable. But I put them to work in the kitchen. They're really good.
I can't speak for the rest of the country, but I do know here in New York City, every spring is ant season. And I always worry about the ants that look like they spent all winter working out. Because no, seriously, I sprayed one. I tried to spray one, and he shook it off and squared up. I'm like, damn!
Wow, he's like,
that's so funny.
The spray for them is just like a slip and slide. Like this is great. They're like bringing their kids out and all this stuff.
Yep.
So
Amanda, have you ever had anything with a worm? I mean, when you hear, he said literally not an earworm, like a worm ate his brain. He also said, by the way, and this was a deposition in 2012, so it's not like campaign literature, that he felt like he had worms in his chest and they were all sitting there and then they just left one day. I'm like, I think there's a worm, some kind of worm thing in his brain. Like there's something about worms that he's fixated on. That's what I'm getting.
Whatever he's taking on the weekend, he needs to stop because that's the trippiest thing I ever heard in my life. I mean, has a worm go into my brain and gone from my ear into my brain? Yeah, his name is Justin Bieber, but
nice.
Wow. Nice.
Listen, with the
I
candidates,
was waiting for that. I was waiting to be teed up for that. So thank you.
We did that. Thank you. Well done.
I don't know. I mean, it's possible that worms. I don't know. I mean, I'm not a doctor, but that sounds crazy.
It's possible a worm crawled into his ear and ate part of his brain. Like, is it clinically possible? I guess it would be. Titus says no. Okay,
it's
sorry.
not possible.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
Right,
misinformation. YouTube's going to take this video now.
One of the doctors actually said, I mean, reading the articles, that's not what happens. If a worm does get in there, they're living there. They're not eating there.
Oh.
It's not, that's a little crazy little distinction. I guess what happens is the worm dies, becomes a zombie worm, then it starts eating brains.
Eating brains,
that
of
makes
course.
sense.
I've seen that movie. World War
Kennedy-
II, the sequel, is all about worms eating brains.
So I'm writing in zombie worm on my ballot this year because that's, I think probably the most viable candidate at this current time in American history.
Well, yeah, I mean, the Kennedys have always been cursed, so maybe this is just a Kennedy curse that no one's experienced. The Kennedy curse, that just crazy things happen to them, so.
This is right up there. And what's interesting is Trump now is understanding, because polling actually shows us that RFK Jr. is not taking more votes from Biden. He's taking more from him. And this made all the sense in the world because for the first 3 months of the year, even late last year and the first few months of the year, Steve Bannon, Roger Stone, all in Trump world were amplifying RFK Jr., think it was going to hurt Biden. So all the MAGA people heard about him and right-wingers heard him. He was going on Fox News because CNN wasn't having him anymore. He's going on Fox. And some of the people out there that don't really like Trump, but they like anti-vax, they like worm eating your brain stuff and outrageous things. They're like, I like RFK Jr. And now I can tell you this. You guys may or may not know Rick Wilson used to be a Republican. Now he runs the Lincoln Project. Yeah. And I was talking a week ago. He said their polling definitely shows, this is before this came out, definitely shows that RFK was taking 60% of the supporters he had in swing states were people who had voted for Trump or who were leaning to Trump before this. So they got they figured that out as well. He really is. Now there's a long way to the election. But so Trump's way of destroying RFK Jr. in his mind is saying he's not an anti-vaxxer. He's really not an anti-vaxxer. He wants you to think that. That's the way of going. And he's really a Democratic plant. You guys elevate him on the right so much. So it's kind of interesting. So, Titus, what do you think? Is there a chance RFK worms and all has an impact on this election?
I think Putin paying Kennedy to run is really backfired. I mean, because people don't want an alternative to Biden, the guy who turned the economy around, added 12 million jobs, got infrastructure going, CHIPS Act, stopped the pandemic. They want an alternative to the guy with 91 felonies who stole top secret documents and wants to screw his daughter. And if if the alternative has a brain worm, then so be it. Some MAGAs, I probably see that as a bonus. He's already got a running mate in his head.
So that's good. So what do you think, Leighann? The fact, could this actually turn out to backfire on MAGA? And they were all elevating RFK Jr. They were screaming about they won't let him on CNN or MS, so he's going on Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson, when he used to have the Fox News show, had him on. He was on Sean Hannity. All they were celebrating him, and now it's come back to be a worm eating their brain.
I love when the chickens come home.
Or
it's
the worm
so
comes
awesome.
back. The worm comes back to eat.
Amen.
But
Amen.
yeah, but it is the alternative that they want the anti-vaxxers to vote for the guy who fast-tracked the COVID vaccine and then took it. Is that the strategy? Is that what I'm? Okay, if anybody needs me, I'll be having tea with Rod Serling.
Amanda, I mean, do you hear much about RFK? You live in the real world, like you're out there talking to people. How much politics comes up now? Because there was a recent poll, NBC poll, that showed at this time in the election, the lowest interest in a presidential race in 20 years. Now that will pick up, but that was measuring at this time in 4 different other cycles going backwards at the least intense interest. And it's kind of interesting that we have Trump. We're concerned he's a fascist, going to end democracy. And everyone's like, I'm kind of bored with this.
Yeah, I think there's other issues happening in the world that have been very polarizing that people are talking about, and people don't even want to even bring up that subject because it gets really, so I think people are talking about politics. They're just talking about it privately because it's very hard to find people that can have conversations without calling people names, without having like if you say one thing, that means you're this. If you say this, there's no hey, maybe there's nuance to this. Maybe someone who believes this could also believe this or believe that. So I think that the conversations from my end have just gotten so polarizing. And if you say one thing, well, you must be this. Well, it's like, no, I don't think that just because I think that. You know what I'm saying? So I do talk about politics with people that I know agree with me almost because it just is more peaceful. So I just think politics have just gotten so polarizing that people can't just talk and not assume that someone thinks something because they think something else. So,
right. Yeah. So Amanda, when you're at MAGA rallies, how are it's long.
Yes, the MAGA rallies, it's great. We go get a beer.
So clearly you're MAGA. The way you answer that question, you must be at the rallies. You must be standing behind the Trump, women for Trump. I look like your daughter. What about me? That kind of stuff. Right. Exactly. Yes. So
lock her up. We're still talking about Hillary because why not? It's so fun.
It is interesting though. You're right though. I mean, we should talk about this for a second, that every time there's a new political issue, no one talked about the Middle East for a long time. Now everyone's talking about the Middle East, but you could have people who you were allies with on other issues say something about the Middle East you don't like, and you're like, now I see who you are.
Yes.
And I'm like, so we have a lot of, it doesn't matter what the issue, then you have another issue and you'll be like, how dare you say Biden's old? What are you a MAGA? You want fascism?
Right.
Like someone just said that he's an older man. That's what he is.
Yeah.
Like Jon Stewart got so much anger from people with his first show back when he was saying, because I'm just saying what people are seeing. I don't know what people are upset. So that's the hard thing. What do you think, Titus? I mean, is there room for gray and nuance even on our side? In the difficult times, is it hard? Is it difficult to do that?
I took my son on his birthday party yesterday. We just went go-kart racing, and there was this dude that came up to me, and we were comparing times on lap times, and this guy started talking about Hunter Biden, and I just turned to him and we had this really long conversation about everything, like literally Biden's old, Trump's innocent, and I just kept hitting him with facts and very calm, and at the end we shook hands. I think what's happened is we all have campaign fatigue right now. This has been going on. Remember when Obama, everyone think for a second, do you remember this guy named Obama? You remember how easy that was? God, life was easy. And then Trump got involved, and then the Hillary thing. And we've had, how many years is that now? 8 years of just total campaigning, and it never stops. And every day, as I said before, it's like waking up every morning with Trump, like you got to cut the wire on a bomb so it doesn't explode what he did the next day. And I think everybody's tired. I don't think it's bored. I just think people are like, I'm growing a tumor from this and I need to stop. And I think that's what's going on now.
Where are the brain-eating worms when you need them?
Oh yeah, or that. Right. That's I'll give you that.
I would like to have some. No, I think that's interesting. What do you think, Leighann? Do you think people are just tired? I mean, because Donald Trump has been a big part of our lives now, if you follow politics, since 2015, since he slithered down the escalator over here.
Yes.
So June 2015. And it never ends. Like he should be in prison, but he's not. If he wins, he's around forever. if he never leaves the White House alive. I mean, I think everyone knows that. Liz Cheney said we know this. But even if he loses, his trials will continue, and the media knows he's good for ratings, and they'll cover it, but there won't be the intensity. Like I will ignore it. I'll be like, I don't give a shit. But so what do you think, Leighann? Are people tired? Are you tired of it?
I can't speak for the people.
Please do.
But
all the people.
Well, for
Leighann,
me
for all the people,
and some of the people, I'm a little disengaged because I cannot believe this is the best we can do.
Yeah.
Man.
How many people do we have in this country? And I'm not saying that Joe Biden is a terrible president. I am saying the former president should never be inside anybody's office of any shape, far less one that's oval. But really, these two guys, this is it. This is our best and brightest again with this. So I mean that's my frustration and my disappointment that this is where we are again.
I hear it. You know, the tagline for my show is the Dean Obeidallah show. Is this the best we can do? You know, that's my new tagline for this show. There's no one better. You couldn't find someone else to host from 6 to 9 p.m. Eastern time. Like, apparently not. So all right. So let's take a break and come back. We have a lot more to talk about the rise of the Confederacy. It's back in Virginia. I can't even believe it's a real story. It is. And Ozempic babies. So let's take a break. We'll return with more of what just happened after this. Ready? We're coming back. And welcome back, Dean Obeidallah Show. We're continuing our conversation here on Friday, May 10th. Amanda Gail, Leighann Lord, and Christopher Titus, just known as Titus. So this is a first, and I don't even like the way the media is saying it. The headline story is, for the first time in U.S. story, a school district in Virginia, or anywhere but Virginia, voted to rename schools to honor those who fought for the Confederacy, because in 2020, the board changed the names from Stonewall Jackson, Robert E. Lee, and Turner Ashby. Turner Ashby was a Confederate colonel. He moved up to like brigadier general. I was reading about him. And so they're renaming it. I don't think it should be called renaming it. They are just naming a school now after Confederate generals. Don't defend it by you're not going backwards. This conservative group called Coalition for Better Schools, they're a right-wing group, said this is about our history. It's not renaming. And I wonder what kind of event they're going to have to do the christening and the inaugural, and maybe have a slave auction before, like really make it downhole. You know, count black people there as 3/5 of a person. This story amuses me and angers me at the same time. So Leighann, what the F is going on? They're literally naming a school after Confederate generals, 3 of them in 2024. Here's where we are thanks to the GOP.
Well, what's going on is America. So let's not pretend this is new.
Okay.
Sadly, amen.
I do think Virginia specifically is seeing, you know, what Florida and Texas and Tennessee is doing. It's like, you know what, let me get some of that limelight. They can't be the worst states by themselves. The original, they changed the names back in 2020, and now they're changing them back in 2024 because I think 4 years of diversity is just enough. You know, a little too much. Like, we tried it, we didn't like it, we're gonna go back to the original. But if they're really interested in history, they could, you know, there's a lot of historical names they could have chosen. They could have chosen Harriet Tubman High. They could have chosen Nat Turner Elementary. They could have chosen Frederick Douglass Academy. You know, so you want to talk history, we could do that.
Yep.
But they want to talk this history. I mean, why not?
History where their folks lost. Oh, okay.
Right. It's right. It's the only people in the world who want to re-celebrate losing. And that's what's so much like they do the reenactments. Let's lose again. I'll see you Saturday. Next Saturday, we're going to lose again. This is great. And maybe they think one day, one time, they're going to actually win that war. That's what I think. So, Titus, what is the South will rise again via the Shenandoah County School Board, apparently.
I think the irony is they don't want to teach history of slavery. They don't want to teach any of the history of it, but they're willing to name the schools after the guys that committed pretty much some of the worst atrocities in American history. So I want you to know, I'm fine with them naming schools after pro-slavery Confederates, as long as every black kid gets to whip a white kid during PE. Because I think that's how we lay it, because that's experiential history, and then we can actually get it across to the kids somehow.
That's a very interesting idea. I also think it's interesting Stonewall Jackson was shot by his own troops, and that's the guy you're celebrating. Like he was returning from out on patrol. He came back and his own troops shot him.
He was fragged by his own guys.
He was, because I've been to Virginia to like there's memorial and monuments there. And I read about that. I'm like, interesting. I didn't know that. That's completely factually true. He was shot. And they're like, if he was not killed by his own troops, the South would have won. I'm like, someone else on the side would have shot him.
Wait, was that friendly fire, or we have had enough of them motherfuckers?
It's hard to say, but
make it make sense. Make it make sense.
Amanda, so what's next? I mean, there was a bill introduced in the Florida State Legislature in the beginning of January to bring back these Confederate statutes. And I'm like, how are you going to have a ceremony doing that? And then they pulled the bill. They didn't do it. But now what Virginia doing, the other states are going to be like, it's back. We're rising again. Let's have some more monuments to people who are dead for there's no reason to celebrate the life of Robert E. Lee, a slave owner who separated slaves, who fought for chattel slavery to keep Black people as furniture and worse. So what's going on, Amanda?
Well, I just find the whole thing so ironic. These are the people that called us snowflakes for wanting to change the name of the Indians to something less offensive, right? These people are like, oh, it's just a name. Well, if it's just a name, then keep the school's name. Second of all, you're so patriotic. You harass peaceful protesters going USA, USA, but you're promoting someone that was a traitor to the USA. You're not so patriotic. You like traitors. So the irony of all this is just laughable, you know?
That's a great point. They should be forced to just chant CSA, Confederate States of America, from now on. No more USA, CSA, CSA.
Yeah.
That's what they're about. You're right, because these people were traitors who took up arms against the United States of America, who killed. Some of the last things brave soldiers in the United States military saw was the Confederate flag or the Dixie flag, the battle flag of their slave state. And you know, they're very clear. Alexander Graham, the vice president of Confederacy, said the Confederacy was founded on the principle that white people are superior, Black people are inferior, and the natural state isn't slavery. They didn't hide it. They said it out loud then. And we've been fighting an attempt to revisionism, just like with January 6th, right, Titus? Rewriting January 6th is not being a terrorist attack to keep a guy in office who lost, but as somehow a peaceful protest. There were a few bad apples. They were all Antifa except for Ashley Babbitt. That's
it was basically a museum field trip that got out of hand. Everybody had their museum buddies and they were just walking to the Capitol and just shit broke off. Listen, this whole thing, the funny thing when I read what Matt sent me, it said at the bottom, the majority of Americans want this. And I wanted to go, so the majority of Americans want the guys who ran slavery, who almost ended America. They want us to name the school after that guy. What I don't understand, we're in such a post-truth world. Trump has created this opening where you can say whatever you want, whenever you want, and we're supposed to give it credence and credibility. And that's what we have to start stopping. We have to be like, nope, bullshit. I will be honest with you, not a freaking American wants that school to be named after anybody from the Confederacy. And we need to get as angry. We listened to George Carlin yesterday. We need a Democratic candidate that screams like George Carlin. That's what we need, because he was so liberal, but so over the top that we have to start. This calm conversation you and I are having, all of us are having, we need to stop that and start screaming sanity as loud as they scream insanity. That's what
fight for Trump or whatever, fill in the blank. I hear what you're saying, Tess.
I think that majority argument is a little hollow, because the majority of Americans want access to abortion. The majority of Americans want gun control, and nobody's heard us on that. Yep. And healthcare, affordable housing. What?
Democracy.
We don't want to go broke from getting sick. I don't want to lose my life savings if I get sick. That's what I want to fight for, you know.
It's remarkable. So let's talk about, I found this really interesting. Ozempic, people know it was actually created for one thing, then became known as the weight loss drug. But now it's like, oh, it's a baby. You know, it's Ozempic babies, my friends. Somehow this is true. And now it's anecdotal, but CNN reported on it that doctors are not sure why, which is the most unnerving thing when they talk to doctors like, we're not sure why more people taking Ozempic are getting pregnant. They have theories, and that they know that weight loss is associated with increasing fertility. So it restores normal ovulation, but that was one theory. Like another theory is like, we're not really sure. So doctors are not sure, but they're calling them Ozempic babies. Women who have struggled with infertility are now getting pregnant. And the women are happy about it. The article, at least in the article, the people they interviewed were people who wanted a baby, not like, what? I want to lose 10 pounds, not gain a baby. So it's kind of a trade-off, that kind of thing. So Leighann, I mean, what do you think Ozempic babies by the way, as an assistant professor at Harvard Medical School told CNN, we don't know how it works and we don't know exposure to these drugs could affect the fetus, but knock yourself out. So these could be long side effects at the end of at the end of the commercial. They have to add something. You may have a baby, and we don't know what's going to happen to your baby. Being an Ozempic baby, just going to keep the baby just singing the song when it comes out.
Well, at some point these kids are going to be watching, Nickelodeon, and they're going to have the class action lawsuit. Hey, did your mom take Ozempic? Are you having side effects? Join our class action lawsuit. And the 9-year-old's like, what's a class action lawsuit? And then here we go, because we'll see what's happening. I don't think this is rocket science, you guys. If you've ever lost a little weight and felt good about yourself, you put on that outfit, you turn up at the club, and it's going to happen. It is going to happen.
So
how are we missing the obvious?
It's not physiological. You're saying it's psychological? Just people are like, all right, wow, hey. And then
listen,
there's a baby.
Because if you're heavy set, your clothes don't fit right, you're not going to the club. You're not on a dating site. You don't feel sexy. The minute you drop a few pounds, you feel sexy. Get something cute on. Out we go. Everybody, here come the baby.
Here
this
comes
is
the
very
baby.
1, 2, 3.
Amanda, where do you come down? Is it something physical with the medication, or is it what Leighann is saying that's more maybe psychological?
Oh yeah, I think you're just like hotter, so people really want just taking so many loads. You're just it's Can I say that on this air? You can.
Sure.
Here we are.
It's a numbers game, That's what it is.
So you think it's that? So what do you think, Titus? Could it be that it's just people look better, feel better about themselves, so they're having more sex?
Let's just cut to the bone on this one. It just comes down to how superficial men are. Skinny women get laid. Skinny women get pregnant. Men are just they're gonna be men. And I was telling my wife this before. She goes, yes. And skinny women can also deal with men's bullshit. That's my wife said that flat out to me. So it's like I love that scientists are baffled. That if you're hot looking, you have more sex. That's how what's going on?
And that could be part of it. But what concerns me is that women are getting pregnant while taking Ozempic, and they don't know the impact on the fetus. And one day they'll find like, oh, your baby's born and it's 3 ounces. Like, wow, that's it. Yeah, you lost a lot of weight.
Right.
It must have been on Ozempic. I mean,
You have one too many kids. Now not get into Harvard. They're going to go, well, my mom was on Ozempic. I'm suing.
So you get that way. But I mean, I guess one of the long-term impact on you is that you're always the right weight, whatever that might be. Like because of Ozempic, you're born with it in your blood system. Like that's your superpower. You're like an X person. Like, what do? I can eat anything and I stay exactly this weight. Like, wow.
Or you're well into your 30s and you're still at your baby weight. I think I'd be concerned.
Well, they'll have to come up with a new medication to deal with Ozempic. But Ozempic is making the big pharma company that discovered it so wealthy, even more money, because it was not an intended consequence. It was a very specific drug, like Viagra was not being created for men who are impotent or having problems with erection. It was being created for something else. Then the side effect in all their studies were like, wow, we're trying to cure diabetes and these guys keep having erections. And then someone goes like, maybe it's the pill. And then they figured it out, and they really did, because they were developing this like in Scotland. I remember reading about it, like in Scotland or something, and it was just a side effect. And Pfizer's like, they felt embarrassed by it. They're like, well, we don't really want to market this drug, and someone must have done the data and market research. Like, it can make a lot of money. Like, okay, we want to market this pill, and that's how. So again, who knows? It's kind of weird though. What other medications, the side effects might be good for certain people, bad for other people. So, all right, there's Matt, our friend Matt.
That's a different commercial, by the way. The side effects include huge erections, losing weight. That's a much better commercial at the end.
All right, we only got a couple minutes left. I just want to get your reaction for a comedy thing here, although I did want to talk about the Apple thing, but we'll talk about Tom Brady roast. Did any of you watch it? I saw some of the clips. There were some very good jokes. Nikki Glaser was really funny. Some of the others. But what happened was Kim Kardashian went live to speak at the thing and got booed. And the news story was how Netflix cut out the booing. Now, if you go watch it online, if you watch it live, you can hear it. But if you go watch it now, they cut out the booing. Why did you cut out it's a comedy thing. It's kind of funny that she got booed. I don't know why in any world. Amanda, why would you cut out the booing?
Because it's probably just embarrassing. And it was probably so long, it was taking up most of the show. They needed to you
They
know?
booed even if she wasn't even there. They kept booing.
Yeah,
Like,
so they're like, oh God, we gotta
Kardashian
cut
suck.
something. Yeah. But they had enough booing that I got it. You know, I get it. This is the end of the Kardashian era. People are sick of their flex culture. The income disparity has become so big. People are just so sick of lavish lifestyles and you not acknowledging your privilege and telling people just work hard. Well, not all of us were born with like a lawyer dad and friends with Paris Hilton. So don't tell us to work hard when, you know, we couldn't work. So just sick of the Kardashians.
Boo.
We're done with
Kim Kardashian. I'm booing Kim Kardashian. I saw her
Yeah.
one time in person ever at the White House Correspondents' Dinner a few years ago when she was dating Pete Davidson. And there was her walking with, I'm like, oh, there's Kim Kardashian with Pete Davidson. I'm like, that's kind of interesting. So, Leighann, would you have kept the booing in? And if you watch any of the clips of the roast, was anything funny to you or you didn't watch any of it?
I don't watch roasts. That's
Fair
not
enough.
my thing.
It's like insects. I get
I'm
it.
not into
to
it.
You don't like it.
Yeah. No, totally not my thing. I watched them, like, I don't know why they're booing her, but if you want to play comic, you have to take those comic consequences. Meaning you're going to get the laughs or the applause or you're going to get the boos. That's what this job is. So maybe stick to your side of the street and just do makeup and clothes.
Very nice. Wear your sneakers and sell your stuff. Titus, where do you come down on all this?
Well, I don't understand it because when I think best comics on the planet, I think Kim Kardashian. When I say, who are we going to get for this roast to roast probably one of the best quarterbacks of all time? Can we get Kim Kardashian? Because it'll be hilarious then. Is Titus available? Who? Let's get Kim Kardashian. Let's do that. So I don't understand the booing at all. I thought she was brilliant.
Very fun. I just said Jesse Joyce. Do you know Jesse Joyce? Titus, do you know Jesse Joyce?
No.
Oh, you guys don't know Jesse? I don't know if Leighann knew Jesse. He's a big comic. He wrote for all the roasts for you. He writes for Kimmel now for like 7 years.
Oh, yeah, I heard him. Yeah.
Nice guy. But I bet he wrote some of the jokes that were funny. All right, before we run out of time, I just want to give everyone a chance to plug what you're working on because you guys are all busy and you're doing your stuff, touring, making albums. You know, Titus cut his own new 11th album during this taping. So he's always no, he's 11. 10. He made a new one here.
Wow, this
is actually going to be released as the 11th album of Titus.
Yes, it's called Make It Make Sense.
So, Leighann, where can people follow you? And so, Leighann, where can people find out more about your work and follow you and everything?
Because my name is hard to spell unless you love me and know me for a long time. My website is veryfunnylady.com. You can find me in that incarnation on Instagram, and I'm still on Twitter. Yes, I'm still dead naming Twitter. Yes, I'm still calling it that. So follow me there, and yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Sounds good. Amanda Gail, where can people find out the amazing Amanda Gail where you are?
You said it, the Amanda Gail on all social media. So
that's everything.
There.
Check out her stuff. She's touring all the time. I see it from Instagram. I see all my friends on Instagram what they're doing, and I don't get angry. I'm not bitter or anything because I have a new filter that makes all of your lives look horrible. I put that on. So it's a new filter.
So the man with a regular gig is jealous of those of us who are scrapping. Okay, all right.
Look at you.
You're living the dream. I'm here.
You're living my dream.
No, I'm kidding. So, Titus, what about your brother? You're always touring in the new album's coming out. Where can people find it?
Carrie Monster's in the can. We're editing it now. I'm touring with my new special. I found out I did a DNA testing, and I found out that, by the way, DNA testing is the dumbest thing anybody can do. The best thing that can happen is you spent $200. The worst thing that's happened is you are now convicted of a crime, or you found a relative that you don't want. So I've started to write. I found out that my family was here since 1638. And so I'm writing a new show all about that. And we did nothing. We obviously drank and slept with the native population.
1630, you have a lot explaining. I look forward to hearing about this. Well, you guys have all been great. I really appreciate it. I look forward to chatting with you in the future. We'll take a break, come back with more of this show.